Okay, picture this. You've been waiting a year and a half for a new electric truck. Let's call it a Ford F-150 Lightning. And about a month after owning that truck, you're totally obeying the rules. You're driving like a good functioning adult, and totally out of control, you get in an accident. A deer comes out. Someone backs into your car or rear ends you. And what happens now? You just waited this long. There's no way you're going to get another truck, especially in this crazy parts shortage time we live in. What happens? Well, I've been digging and I've done some interviews and messages with a couple people who this unfortunate scenario has happened to. And I've gathered as much information as I could to share it with you, to know exactly how long you're without a truck and how much it's going to cost you. Will insurance cover it? Do you have to pay for it? Well, we're going to find out today. So let's get into it. Okay, before we get into today's video, don't forget we're still giving away this Lectron 48 amp NEMA 1450 electric vehicle charger. Level 2, brand new, never been used. The rest of it still in its packaging. And I'm going to ship that to one lucky viewer for absolutely free. All you have to do is follow the contest link below. Submit your entries. I think you can get up to like 50 to 100 entries. And yeah, there's a good chance you can go home with this Lectron charger for your electric vehicle. Thank you to Lectron, and a little sneak peek, I have more Lectron products that I'm going to be reviewing. It will be ending December 1st is the last day to get your entries in, and I will announce the winner via an email, as well as I'll of course announce it on the channel. Enough of that. Oh wait, actually one more thing. Hey, please subscribe. It's Thanksgiving. I'm wishing you a happy Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful for the 5,000 plus of you guys who have subscribed to my channel. It makes me so happy to say that number. That is insane for me to think of. And if you're one of those people who watch but aren't subscribed, maybe consider subscribing. Totally up to you, but I would appreciate it. And now we can get into the video. Okay, so this first story, the person who sent it to me was not interested in being in a video. Like, I wanted him to come on a Zoom call and share his story and everything. But he did send me literally everything. His estimate, the timeline, a couple pictures of the accident. So what we're looking at on the screen is just a very, very, what looks like almost no damage at all. And when you hear the cost on this, I think it might surprise you. Not only the cost, but the amount of work that they're going to have to put into this. So I believe this was a deer that just hopped into the middle of the road. He couldn't get out of the way in time. And yeah, just totally out of his control. That's what sucks the most. Like, that was the scenario I paused at the beginning. Like, imagine you just have waited so long for your gorgeous Lariat F-150, and then all of a sudden you're driving along happy as a clam, and boom, you're smoked. The worst part is this gentleman is still out a truck. So let's talk about, I guess, timeline first. So I messaged him first. I first noticed the incident on October 18th October 17th. And it is still out. And now his original estimate was to get it back the 14th, so almost 10 days ago. And it's just a single bracket he's waiting on before he can get his truck back. He said he's in his word, a shit Ram rental, and he can't wait to get his Lightning back. And I totally understand that. And just the worst part is that it's just one bracket that he's waiting for, and it's just probably a parts shortage thing. But yeah, it sucks. So he doesn't really know when he'll get it. He says he thinks till mid-December. So all said and done, it'll probably be 2 months more you're out of vehicle. After waiting all that time, a whole other 2 months before you get your truck back. That sucks. He will send me a final update too later. So if you guys like this video, maybe you guys can share your stories with me, because I find this stuff really interesting, especially in the kind of weird time we live in of like parts being so hard to come by, and the fact that we wait so long for our vehicles that it's so precious at that point. Like, obviously a new vehicle is precious, but it's even more precious. And like, imagine if it's totaled, then I don't even want to imagine if it's totaled. So I'm not going to read every single part that he needs, but it's a full paper and a half of the parts needed. Roughly, they're going to get a whole new headlamp assembly, a new fender, a whole new bumper assembly. It looks like there's damage to the air duct, which is going to be replaced. The list is long. So front bumper, front lamps, fender, front door, and then each of those sections have about 10 items that they're getting below, which totally explains why it's taking so long to get it, because you got to order all these parts, and obviously some are hard to get. So all said and done, let's talk about labor hours here. This is the part that was like, whoa, which maybe it shouldn't have, seeing the long list of parts they have to install. They're just being overly thorough here, which I do appreciate on a new vehicle. You want anything that could have slightly broken. If it's going to cost an extra $100 or even $1,000 on a brand new vehicle, if you ever plan on reselling that thing, it's got to get pristine again. So it looks like whoever he took this to, it's got to be Ford themselves probably, but they did do their due diligence, and they have everything accounted for here and then some probably. So body labor, 14 and a half hours. Paint labor, 7.5 hours. Mechanical labor, 1 hour. And then 7.7 hours of paint supplies. Another weird billing, I guess. So with sales tax, this whole little fender bender here is costing $5,820. Wow. It made me make this whole video, honestly. I thought it looked like there's definitely damage in the front. I see that. I thought it was mostly body work it would involve. And I also thought, okay, that's probably a unique part, especially if they need the new lightning style headlight there. I bet the timeline, that really didn't surprise me. I knew that would happen, but the cost associated to I'd call this a small accident, almost $6,000. That seems like a lot. Now, luckily, it does look like absolutely everything was covered by this gentleman's insurance. So, hey, make sure you have, it's just a proof of concept for insurance in my book. So yeah, I guess in the long run, it's going to turn out okay, but the real damage is also probably the long wait turning into another long wait. That definitely sucks. So that was very interesting. When we talked to body damage, but what about battery damage? So I had another viewer reach out. I'm not sure if he wants his name said, so I won't. Maybe I'll put it in the comments if he wants me to mention him later, but I'm going to ease on the side of privacy. He had a really interesting story about his battery. So he picked up a very early Lariat Lightning in June. And all of a sudden, one day, his battery wouldn't charge past 85%, which was like, what's going on? He checked, was his settings right? Like, because you do set a charge limit on your EV, and really was, what's going on? And even at 85%, he was driving one day, it shot down to 4%. And obviously you'd freak out if that happened. And he was right to freak out. So it turns out that a cell went bad in the battery pack, and it caused him to have to pull over to the side of the road, put it on a tow truck, and he's still lightningless. And now the best part of this story is the photos he managed to get of the battery pack. So I'm going to put them on the screen now because I love looking at the inner workings of this thing opened up. Like, I think that's pretty cool. And when I asked him about timeline, he continued on and he said, on a Tuesday morning, the truck was dropped off at his dealership. They diagnosed the problem and ordered the parts. They said about 3 to 5 days to receive the parts, and they were not sure about how long it would take to install the parts. But the rough estimate was not bad. He thinks about 2 weeks. Now, there's still no follow-up to this exact issue, but I find it kind of crazy that a battery issue was almost easier to solve than bodywork issue. It's just, I don't know, I guess interesting. I could say that again, right? Because it is. I think it's pretty interesting to see that kind of stuff. And a big thing to focus on here is to remember that, there still is a point for dealerships. I know this is maybe a little off subject, but we've talked a lot about dealerships on this, I almost call it a podcast, but on this channel, we talk about it's antiquated and we need a better way to buy vehicles. But you'll notice I've never critiqued dealerships for being there to service. Like, that's what their best feature is. And if you get a good dealership, which there are still good dealerships, obviously there are, they're going to be able to help your hand throughout the whole process. So there is still a reason for dealerships. And, you know, another shout out to Ford, because they are the first to really lean into separating their EV business while focusing on that service aspect of being able to have specific dealerships that are going to focus in on an EV. Because I bet this gentleman's story would be a lot different if his dealership didn't care about EVs, because there's a lot of dealerships that simply don't care about EVs. In fact, it's not just a good idea, it's a necessity. That's how the Tesla system works. I'm probably sure you're sick of me mentioning Tesla too, but they're the gold standard of EVs for a reason. It's you buy an EV set at a set price that you don't have to worry if you're getting a good price, because there's only one price. And then you know that there's going to be a service center, hopefully in your area. I know there's probably not as many Tesla service centers as there should be. If something goes wrong, you still have a service center that sometimes will even come to you. And I love that system. And Ford is obviously just kind of stepping in those footsteps, which is great. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But if your lightning is broke, do fix it. So yeah, I hope that you guys maybe have more stories for me and we can do more interesting videos like this, because let me tell you, EV news has been a little slow. I've been begging to make more videos, but really nothing's caught my ears or eyes enough to come down here and give that information to you. We're kind of in a holding pattern of ordering an F-150 where they're just doing waves every 2 months and you can only buy expensive ones. So I'd say a good chunk of you guys aren't even interested anymore, which I don't blame you. Or you're just taking a back seat until they come back online. I get that too. But at least you guys are here watching this video, and I thank you so much for that. And it is Thanksgiving, so I guess I'll thank you twice. Thanks again. All right, guys, I'm out. Bye.